Last week I posted a video called Untitled. There were no hashtags and no description, and I was very careful with the language I was using because, to be blunt, under Comrade Starmer, I didn't want to be arrested for something I said on social media. But due to an incident that took place over the weekend, I'm revisiting this subject and I'm being a lot less careful with my language because I believe our current government is morally bankrupt. They cannot take the moral high ground. So, to recap, Elon Musk was using his platform Twitter to highlight the problem of child abuse carried out by what the mainstream media call Asian grooming gangs here in the UK, but the terminology is wrong. Asian grooming gangs? These people aren't from Hong Kong or fucking Thailand. They are groups of Muslim men, mostly of Pakistani origin. So either they moved here from Pakistan or their parents or grandparents did. And mostly they target young, often very young, white girls, although I've been informed they also go after Sikhs, so it's nice there's some diversity. Unsurprisingly, woke lefties took to social media to scream racism, pointing out that the vast majority of these horrible crimes in the UK are carried out by white men. Now that's true, but the issue is that the Pakistani gangs, they're abusing girls at an almost industrial level. And of course Britain is still a majority white country, so it makes sense that the vast majority of these terrible offenders are going to be this colour. The argument is as nonsensical as saying, do you know that 90% of people who die are right-handed? I'm actually left-handed, so I'm a member of an oppressed minority. Where are my fucking reparations? And of course, I'm not making light of the transatlantic slave trade. But I doubt that any slave working on a cotton plantation in the American Deep South picked cotton with their left hand and was immediately burned as a witch. So, last week, Labour MPs were under a 3-line whip, meaning they were effectively being ordered to vote against the Conservative proposal for a nationwide investigation into these terrible crimes against children. But there were a few Labour MPs who didn't vote against it, they abstained. This included Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves, David Lammy, effectively most of the cabinet. So why didn't they vote it down? This is mere speculation, but could it be that Starmer and his cronies abstained from the vote so that if this thing really blows up, they can say, no, we didn't vote against it, we just abstained? Do I believe that the Prime Minister would throw his own people under the bus? In my opinion, yes, he would. And I mentioned in the previous video that he was head of the CPS when a lot of the grooming gang stuff was going on. And I had been deliberately vague, but now I'm going to go through a couple of examples because there was the allegation the police were told not to act on certain ethnic groups doing certain crimes. An 11-year-old girl came to the attention of the authorities as being vulnerable. A few days later, she was found in a derelict house with another 11-year-old girl. Both of them were blind drunk. In the same house were 7 adult Pakistani Muslim men. The police arrived and arrested the 2 young girls for being drunk and disorderly. They didn't arrest the men who obviously had bought the alcohol for them. There was also an example of a man who went to the police, worried that his daughter was being groomed, and a police officer told him, for girls that age, having an older Asian boyfriend is a fashion accessory. It's also worth mentioning that these grooming gangs only operate in Labour constituencies. So areas with a Labour MP and or Labour councils. There's a direct correlation. That's a very heavy start to this video. Let's get to the aforementioned incident. This is Ivor Kaplan, a retired Labour MP, appearing on GB News, talking about Elon Musk, saying what he's doing is dangerous and racist. And of course, the only racists in this case are the abusers who are deliberately targeting young white girls. He banged on for several minutes, explaining how things are being blown out of all proportion. And I don't think that's right. They aren't being blown out of all proportion. The public need to know about this issue. Then on Saturday, this happened.
And that's his bag as well, if possible. So I thought you'd get your bottle of water back.
And sweets.
Right, I'm just going to search you before we go in there, okay? How many layers have you got underneath
The
this?
sweets in there as well.
3.
Oh, that's muggy. The sweets in the bag as well.
There's nothing, there's no bottles. Yeah.
That's Mr. Kaplan. who had gone onto a national news station to complain about misinformation relating to kiddie fiddling, being arrested in a sting operation to catch paedophiles. The 66-year-old former MP had arranged to meet a 15-year-old boy for sex. The dirty, dirty bastard. Now, I watched this play out in real time because that clip was live streamed, and it struck me, if he's in custody, he can't get to social media to shut down any of his accounts. So I went onto his Twitter page. And first up, he's followed by many members of the current sitting Labour government. And he's got posts about fixing the foundations and excellent policies and moving forward. There's also a hell of a lot of gay porn. Of course, there's nothing wrong with being gay, and arguably, if it's made ethically with consent, there's nothing wrong with pornography. But why share it to social media? I mean, I've never been enjoying myself on Pornhub, other sites are available, and after completion thought, I need to share this with my friends and family. I need all and sundry to know what I've been wanking over. Yet, with the pornography on Mr. Kaplan's Twitter, I'm not saying that any of the men appearing in it are underage, but they all look very, very young. Again, this is mere speculation. Could this be why the Prime Minister doesn't want an inquiry? And Ivor is far from alone in being a Labour Party member who allegedly has an unhealthy interest in children. Here's Naz Ahmed, who suspiciously had his sentence reduced from 3.5 years to 6 months when he was convicted of a historical attack on a young boy, or Roger Spackman, a cross-dressing weirdo charged with owning and distributing indecent images of children. In fact, let's have a montage play out here of Labour Party members convicted of crimes involving children. Now, could it be this is why the PM is a bit hesitant? Again, this is pure speculation. But if I were the head of a political party, which is apparently up to its fucking neck in nonsense, I wouldn't want an in-depth public inquiry. In fact, at the end of this video, when I put the last frame up, I've got a list of 52 Labour Party members, MPs, councillors and activists, all convicted of the worst possible crimes involving children. Well, this is a light-hearted, easygoing video. Sorry, before I move on, I have to say again, and he hasn't been formally charged yet as far as I know, Ivor Kaplan, how fucking thick do you have to be to go onto a national news channel in the week to talk about misinformation about these horrible crimes against children, and then 2 days later get nicked in a paedophile sting? Then there's this historic headline. A headline that confirms that police did a deal with the head of a grooming gang so he wouldn't have to go to prison. Allegedly, this took place at the same time that Keir Starmer was head of the CPS. He was also head of the CPS when allegations first started coming in about Jimmy Savile. If you're not from the UK, Jimmy Savile was a TV and radio presenter and also one of the worst monsters imaginable. That's our Prime Minister. But there's more. A recent report has found that foreign nationals are 3.5 times more likely to be sex offenders than British citizens, and we have anecdotal evidence for this. Everywhere where migrant hotels turn up for illegal immigrants who are getting paid for by the taxpayer, sex offences go through the fucking roof. And there's still more. At a time when the news or social media is flooded with stories of Muslim men of Pakistani origin molesting young white girls, the Welsh Refugee Council, of which many members are Muslim men of Pakistani origin, posted this advert.
Shemai. Hello and welcome to Wales. We understand being a refugee isn't easy. They go through so much.
Fleeing your country is difficult, but Wales wants to help you feel welcome.
The Welsh Refugee Council is here to help you. You can contact them here.
Wales is seen as a nation of sanctuary. We welcome anyone and everyone. We recognise your skills and talent.
The Welsh Refugee Council offers a lot of support, including
ESOL classes, which means English for speakers for other languages. It may be hard to learn our language, so we offer support. Employment. You may feel stressed about employment, but we can help. They help you to apply for bank accounts, child benefits, and they can help with housing. It's very important to have a warm place that you can call home. Education. Children have the right to education. Play for children. We know how important it is for children to socialise. help finding doctors. It's extremely important to have healthcare.
Not only this, but Wales offers free education and healthcare.
There are many job opportunities here in Wales. IKEA works closely with the Welsh Refugee Council, providing jobs for refugees that come from all over the world.
On the screen now are some basic Welsh phrases.
Shemai,
Hello.
Broda,
Good morning.
Prenanda,
Good afternoon.
Nosta,
Good night.
Sitoiti.
How are you?
We understand that you have been through a lot, and that is why the Welsh Refugee Council is here to help you.
Thank you for listening.
So at a time when the entire world is aware that here in the UK, young white girls are being abused, tortured, and in some cases unalived by certain groups of men, the Welsh Refugee Council put out an advert featuring 12-year-old white girls telling foreign men, come to Wales. Read the fucking room! And as we come to the end of this video, I'd like to say that everything I've said is speculation. A lot of it's hearsay. I'm not presenting anything as fact. Also, we know, of course, that these grooming gangs, they do not represent the wider Muslim community. It's a tiny percentage. Yet I would ask this. From the Islamic community, where is the outrage? Why aren't they out on the streets screaming like they do for Palestine that these men do not represent their communities? Fuck me, that was a dark video. If you made it this far, well done, and as ever, thanks for watching. Of course, there's nothing wrong with being gay, and arguably, as long as it's made ethically, there's nothing wrong with pornography. I actually used to go out with a woman who was an internet porn star. She went fucking mental when she found out. And Ivor isn't alone. This is... Fuck it, I can't read the name. Oh, and someone's at the door. Weirdo, Roger Spack, man. Spack. Yeah, some jokes write themselves. This historic headline, which appears to show that fucking bollocks. Beyond tone deaf. When social media is awash with stories of young white girls being molested, to have an advert featuring 12-year-old white girls. It's like advertising skeleton keys to burglars. Fuck it. Don't worry about me, my scripts fell on the floor. Talk amongst yourselves.